Alright, let's get this thing started, shall we? So, I have played this game between this week and last week. So, I have seen the results of the Splatfest as we get into things. Spoiler alert, my team did not win. Actually, did I take a screenshot of it? As we get in, not controllers. Album? Yeah, here's how it played out. So really, it was Team Open, or Team Present was kind of ahead, and then you got to the battle stuff, and Team Past just kind of knocked it out of the park. And yeah, they ended up winning. Right, Team Future didn't get a single point, which is kind of crazy. But yeah. And then Team Present, they did okay. And then, of course, Team Past won. So we can take this to its logical extreme and say that based on this, Donald Trump is going to win the presidential election. Because Donald Trump's whole shtick is that he cares about the past, right? He's all about the past, right? Make America great again. And yeah, that's what happened here. That's the team that won. Whereas, you know, Kamala Harris here, which is the present, right? Instead of focusing on the past, we're looking towards the present. You know, instead of like focusing on what's in the past, we want to make it better now. They, you know, did good, but they didn't win. And then, I don't know, Future is fucking RFK Jr., who was busy, I don't know, fucking a whale or something, so that's why he got nothing. Oh, have you read his stories? He, like, blew up a whale and stole its head, or he cut off its head with a chainsaw, and then he left a dead bear in Central Park, and some journalist followed him around for a while, and now I guess allegedly he slept with her in his car that she says smells like whale guts. What a fucking mess. Oh, that's gonna make a fun TikTok tomorrow. So yeah, Team Past won. I think, because a lot of people are like, okay, well, how is this going to affect Splatoon 4? Because I do think we're getting a Splatoon 4. Like, there are some people who are like, no, Splatoon's over. You know, even though it's Nintendo's 4th most popular franchise, Splatoon's over, right? There are some people who are like that, and it's like, no. Obviously, that's not where we're at. There's going to be a Splatoon 4. Is it going to be next year when the Switch 2 launches, or is it going to be a year after that? I honestly have no idea. Could it be even 2 years after that? Totally. But I think Splatoon 4 potentially is closer than we think. I don't know. They put a good chunk of change into Splatoon 3. And I mean, after 2 years of development, like them turning around and being like, oh, here's Splatoon 4. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think it's super likely, because there's usually... I mean, what? Splatoon 1 to Splatoon 2 was 2-3 years? And theoretically, Splatoon 3 to Splatoon 4 could also be 3 years. It just depends on what they're doing and what they're changing. Or if they're just going to remake Splatoon 1. Which I don't think that's going to happen. I've seen some people be like, oh, what if they just make Splatoon 1 again? Like they do like an HD remake of Splatoon 1. You know, kind of like what PlayStation's doing to Horizon Zero Dawn. And, I mean, like, theoretically, it's possible. But I very much doubt that. I think there are much more interesting things that can/will be done with the Splatoon franchise. If anything, I think the more interesting idea is so there's a lot of talk about like, oh, what does it mean when a team wins, right? Because in Splatoon 1, when it was Callie versus Marie, when Marie won, right, Callie got abducted and kind of became an antagonist in the second game. She was an antagonist, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. Meanwhile, in Splatoon, right, in the final Splatfest of Splatoon 2, it was Chaos versus Order, and when Chaos won, right, and it wasn't like, it was Chaos versus Order, and it was more of a, like, thematic thing, right? Chaos just meant, right, our underground area, and even kind of our above ground area, is more Mad Max Fury Road, and less, I don't know, cyberpunk, that one SpongeBob episode where they go to the future. So I've seen a lot of people being like, oh, well, since Team Past won, right, are we going to go back to Splatoon 1? Are we going to go back to Caveman days, right? Is the next Splatoon going to be a flashback to the Great Turf War that's talked about, right, between Captain Cuttlefish and Octavio? Because a lot of what Splatoon did, Splatoon 3, right, it kind of ends the race war. The race war no longer exists, right? Octarians and Octolings are able to find peace, which is kind of shown, right? It was highlighted anyways at the Grand Festival last week when, right, Cuttlefish and Octavio share a booth together, selling some merchandise. So I don't know, right? I don't think I could see it, because the whole theme of the Splatfest was not what's better, past, present, or future. It's what matters most to you. So I would think it would be more interesting to do like a thematic thing, or the idea I've personally had for Splatoon 4 is what if it takes place in the early days of Turf War, right? Because Turf War in these games is like, right, it's this big contest. You've got, right, these big teams. They're going to like museums and academies and amusement parks. What if Splatoon 3 is more grounded? It's the early days of Turf War between Inklings, and throw in Octoling, sure, why not? Or even if it's not like in the past, maybe it uses themes of the past. Like people are trying to get back to like the original Turf War. Instead of all these like fancy gears, high-tech kits, maybe it's the comparison I'm gonna use is it's like the NBA versus Blacktop, right? Like there are these big NBA games with professional athletes, and then there's just people playing on the Blacktop, right, out at the local basketball court at like a park, or, you know, where, I don't know. All the basketball courts I had growing around here are in parks. So that's what I think of, right? Instead of these like big, massive like turf wars, what if they're just small scale, like, hey, it's a group of friends living in the city or in the suburbs, just kind of trying to find turf war spots wherever they can, right? Going back to their roots. Instead of these big high-tech weapons, they've got like, basically, if you've ever seen the show Codename Kids Next Door, they've got like 2x4 technology, just a bunch of weapons thrown together out of like planks of wood and like water bottles. It's not like super fancy. It's just kind of like kids on a budget trying to do the most out of it, instead of these like fancy E-leaders and dual squelchers. Right? It's just kind of whatever they've thrown together. And that's what it means by past, right? It's getting back to the roots, right? It's basketball, but without a basketball net, right? You've just got the hoop. Stuff like that I think would be very interesting. I'd want a complete shakeup when it comes to ranked modes. Like Turf War, you can basically keep the same. But I want, right, if everything else is going to feel more handmade, I would want the rank modes to also feel handmade. I'd want it to feel like... There's a part of me that says, like, I kind of want it to feel like a high school, like, football game, right? Where it's like, oh, it's just like a bunch of kids who are, like, trying to keep track of keep track of everything, instead of, like, this big, professional, organized sports with rankings and letters. I don't know. I think there's an idea there. I don't know exactly how they execute it. I think it would require a big change in, not level design. Well, I definitely want a change in level design, because Splatoon 3, when it comes to their level design, it's not exactly great. So I would love to see them change up level design, like how they make levels. But I think, like, thematically, right, it's like I would say it's like in the suburbs, but it's also in, like, city streets. It's in, you know, the backcountry. There's not like these like imagine like a bunch of kids playing turf war out in the countryside, and they've got instead, right, because they don't have like buildings, it's just like endless fields of grain. They instead use like farm equipment to make obstacles, and they make like hay bales that act as obstacles, you know, stuff like that. Like they can't do like big formal things, but there's like a stage with like a corn maze in the middle of it. That would be interesting. I feel like there's potential there for like rural turf war, you know, back to basics. I feel like it would be interesting to ditch the numbers thing, because right, we eventually saw Call of Duty after their 4th game. They kind of ditched the numbers thing, right? That's when you start getting Black Ops still has the numbers thing, because we're getting Black Ops 6. But right, you start getting like Black Ops, you start getting World at War, you start getting Advanced Wars, and I mean Modern Warfare already existed at 4, but you know what I mean. So like Splatoon 4, Urban something, or like Urban Brawl or Urban Turf or something like that. I don't know how they put it, but I feel like there's potential there for something interesting. It's just a question of will they do it. And I think anything is possible. Because yeah, it's Nintendo, right? Or, you know, they could just remake Splatoon 1. And instead of having like these big idol groups, maybe the idol in this rural Splatoon game is just like the local radio DJ. That'd be just like a radio DJ who's putting on the greatest hits, and that's kind of how they justify it. And you're just listening to right, instead of having a news broadcast, it just kind of in the top corner it puts on the radio. So that way you can listen to it. Because the news broadcast becomes less and less eventful with each game. And I feel like that's oh yeah, we can still have it. We have this cool radio DJ who, you know, what's Mr. New Vegas style guy who's, you know, funny. And they're the one who's like doing the turf war is like the sock hop, or, you know, the hootenanny. Right? Make it very like country inspired. That'd be very fun. Basically, I want every stage to be the tractor racing scene from Footloose. I actually, on one hand, I feel like I could imagine like a Splatfest game, like a turf war match at like the local high school, but I feel like Nintendo would never do that because of the school shooting implications. But I feel like a good a high school like a high school football field would make a good location. I don't know. Those are my ideas for Splatoon 4. It's interesting. Because I did not expect to do Splatoon tonight, I'll be honest. I know I've been saying we were going to do Astro Bot. I legitimately might just... Because I have now beaten the game. I legitimately might save it for the end of the year. Kind of like what I did with Mario Wonder last year. I might just save it. I have no qualms about doing that. I'm happy to replay that game again later on. So, yeah, that's not happening tonight. I know I said we'd do Fall Guys, maybe next week. I do want to do it at some point. I don't know. I've been super busy this past week. Like, ridiculously busy. I don't know what I'm going to do. And, so I was like, you know what? Instead of worrying about Fall Guys, let's just get into something we know. Because I'm so tired. I worked a long shift today. Yeah, I worked a long shift today. I'm so tired. I went and picked up Whataburger on the way home. They forgot my burger. I got a bacon cheeseburger, fries, a soda, and one of those apple pie things, whatever it's called. They give me the bag, and I'm like, wow, this feels incredibly light. They just completely forgot my burger, right? Because I did like a mobile order. So I had to go inside, actually get my bacon burger. And it was like, oh my gosh. And you know what? I get it, right? Admittedly, I have not worked restaurant. I've only worked retail. So, like, I get it. Shit happens, you know. It's a hard job. I would say they're probably understaffed. I mean, I don't know how. Because there were probably 6 of them there, including a manager. So, I mean, I guess that's understaffed. They were not busy. Right? Like, if I go to Taco Bell right now, there'd be 2 people there. 2 people in the entire restaurant. That's definitely... my local Taco Bell is totally understaffed. So 6 in comparison, I mean, that's a little better. But yeah, I get it. Shit happens. I didn't give them a hard time over it. They were pretty quick to fix it. But the crazy thing is, this is the second time this has happened. Like, if this was just a one-off thing, I'd be like, you know what, people were just having a bad night. Shit happens, I get it. But in the past year, this is the second time this has happened. Man, there was a time where I would have said Whataburger was the greatest burger on the planet. There was just something about Whataburger that was so good. Like, I think they rival all the greats. Right, I know people from California talk up In-N-Out Burger. And In-N-Out Burger is really good. Don't get me wrong. I really do like In-N-Out Burger. But ever since COVID, Whataburger has just been going downhill. They're just getting worse and worse. And both service-wise, but mainly quality-wise, I think they're getting worse as well. And it just sucks. So yeah, it's been a long day. It's been a long week. I'm so tired, but we're here. We're gonna do stuff, and then it's back to work. Oh my god, this week was just a busy week. Next week is also stupid busy. Oh my gosh, I'm so. And then the week after that is like busy in like a completely different way. Right, it's just 3 busy weeks, and they're all busy in different ways, and it's just a nightmare. So, oops, I meant to leave that match. So we got 3 stories tonight, or we got 2 stories, plus a WIBE, a very short WIBE, because I've really only done one thing. We got Nintendo Switch 2 leaks. We're going to look at the images here in a second, and then we'll talk about them. And then we've got Pokemon vs. Pal World. We'll talk about that. And kind of my takes on it. And then finally, we got WIBE. I think there were other news stories this week. I'll be honest, that's all I wrote down. And when it came to starting the stream tonight, I was like, I could look up other stuff. But I think I'm good. I mean, Switch 2 leaks is already a major story. And who wants to hear me talk about the stupid 30th anniversary PlayStation that everybody is now freaking out over, even though a week ago they were all pissed at PlayStation for the PS4 Pro price. Or even just fucking last week, they were mad about or even just earlier this week. It wasn't even last week, it was earlier this week. They were mad at PlayStation for remastering Horizon Zero Dawn. Which, actually, I kind of want to play Horizon Zero Dawn, but if this is like a full $60 remake, I'm not paying $60 for that game. If this is like a $10 upgrade to a game I already own, then yeah, sure, I'll actually check it out. But if this is like a full $60 remake, kind of like what they did with The Last of Us, no, there's no way in hell I'm paying that money. Fuck that. So yeah, but we got 2 stories, so let's just get into it. Let me get a drink real quick. And that's some good water. Alright, Switch 2 leaks. So, it came out earlier this week. Alright, leaked photos of the Switch 2 design. It originally started on a Chinese forum, before eventually, being ported to, So, originally this started on a Chinese forum, and then eventually these images came to Reddit, which is right where we're seeing them in the images we're going to look at today. Right, while the images are unverified, one source who has not seen the final Switch 2 console, but has been briefed on Nintendo's plans, told VGC that the red images match what the company has told partners to be expected from its design. So, right, detailed configuration list, SoCal CPU plus GPU, model, memory model, flash model. I'm just going to skip over a lot of this stuff. 256 gigs. I'm pretty sure that's internal storage. That's actually pretty big. Like, that's a... Right, compared to, I think the Switch normally has 32. Even the OLED, I don't think got an upgrade. So, potentially having 256 gigs, that's a big deal. Especially if the Switch 2 is going to have Call of Duty games. Because remember, they made a deal. Microsoft, or Nintendo and Activision made a deal to get Call of Duty games on Switch. If we're going to get whatever the next Call of Duty is, if we're going to get Warzone, we need that, right? Because this is 256 gigs is 2 Call of Duty games. Plus, any, SD cards. An audio chip model, an NFC reader, amiibos are back, presumably, right? You're still going to be able to use them. A built-in microphone, that's cool, right? The PS5 controller has a built-in microphone, and it works fine. Like, of course, a headset's always going to be better, but I have no qualms with the PS5 microphone, so I think that's pretty cool. And it's going to be on the Joy-Cons, presumably, or on the system, I guess. And then it's probably also going to be on the Pro Controller, if I had to guess. Dual cooling fans, video signal conversion, network chips, microcontroller chips, proactive case models, speakers. So this is what the system looks like. I've seen a lot of people be big mad at this because this is basically just a Switch but bigger, right? Like, you could show somebody this image, tell them this is the OLED, and they would probably believe you. I've seen some people get really mad at this. There was this one tweet earlier today, that was like, oh my god, I can't believe Nintendo would do this. Let me find the comparison image real quick. Oops. Boop. There's an image. Right, this is the comparison. This is, I presume, the OLED, and this is the new model. And I saw someone be like, oh my god, I can't believe Nintendo would do this. The Nintendo I like makes weird Nintendo decisions. This is them just turning into Xbox or PlayStation. They literally just made the same console again. The Nintendo I know is dead. Welcome, PlayStation. Or, someone was bitching and moaning about that. And if I'm gonna be honest, we all know that's bullshit, right? The Game Boy to the Game Boy Color, the DS to the 3DS, the Wii to the Wii U. I'm sure there's another example in there somewheres. This is not the first time Nintendo has done something like this. Yes, does Nintendo make weird Nintendo decisions? Is this thing going to have a weird Nintendo decision? Of course it is. It's Nintendo. My guess is it's going to be a VR headset, right? You're going to be able to take this thing, slip it into a VR headset, and play VR games. That would be a very weird Nintendo decision, because that's the kind of things they do. But no, I get why I guess I kind of get why some people are underwhelmed by this. Like, this isn't a massive upgrade or anything, right? I guess people expect weird Nintendo decisions. And the fact that they're playing it pretty safe, because, the Switch is the second best-selling console of all time. Okay, maybe third best. I get why they're playing it safe. They have no reason not to play it safe. I think this looks fine. I like making the Joy-Cons a little bigger. If we'll see. One of these images has Joy-Cons. And yeah, they've made the internal, like the ZL and ZR buttons, they've made them bigger. They've added an extra button back here. The Joy-Cons now lock in magnetically, supposedly. There's this new button right here, so we've got the home button, right? The other Joy-Con has a picture button. I'm going to guess this is the microphone button. If I had to take a guess, right? Because the PlayStation has a microphone button that when you press it, when you mute the microphone, it turns orange. I'm going to guess this is a mute microphone button. I have no proof of that, but that's just my guess, and I see nobody else talking about it. I think the changes to the Joy-Con are good. Hopefully they don't drift. One of these images... is it not this one? Maybe it's this next one. Right, so you've got all the you've got a cartridge slot, you've got a power, volume, ventilation, headphone, and then you have a second USB-C port. So that way, presumably, you can charge the system from either the top or the bottom. That's a great change. Because honestly, using a Switch sucks when you're trying to charge it at the same time. Because the charging port is at the bottom, it's just super inconvenient to use the Switch and charge it at the same time. I know they sold a charging cradle at some point. It wasn't, it sold out real quick and it wasn't that great. So no, I feel like this is a charging port at the top. They're all minor changes, but I think they're all good changes, right? You can kind of see the back buttons over there. Right, back here, presumably they now have 2 more buttons. What are, I don't know, I know more, right, like, I think of like the PlayStation Pro and the Xbox Pro controllers, how they have the 4 back buttons. I'm assuming that's what this is. So yeah, I feel like, yeah, did they make some sort of massive change to the console here? No, not at all. This is a very safe console. No major changes. I know a lot of people wanted a D-pad instead of 4 buttons. I get why they didn't change it. This is all playing it very safe. And I know people are upset over this. I know some people wanted some big changes. They wanted some crazy stuff here. But this is exactly what I wanted. Because I love the Switch. I think the Switch works great. All they had to do was make the Switch but better. Update the hardware, update the graphics, right? 1080p screen, 4K on TV. That's all I needed. And guess what? That's exactly what we're getting here. This is exactly what I wanted. But I guess I get why some people are underwhelmed. Because, you expect those weird Nintendo decisions. I've seen some people expect it to be like a clamshell. Or to have 2 screens like a DS. I don't think that was ever going to happen. But I still think it might happen. Hear me out. So we know the system has a USB port on the top and the bottom. What if they sell a device that's, those devices that you can stick on like a tripod to hold your phone in place? Imagine if they sell a device like that, but it allows you to take your new Switch and plug your old Switch on top of it and turn the Switch into a DS. Because the Switch has that thing where you can link up multiple Switches by like... The only game I can think of that uses it is Super Mario Party, where you can like connect up to 4 Switches together. Imagine if they used that feature, but they did that between the new Switch and the old Switch to allow you to play DS games. That this bottom screen is your DS touchpad, and the top screen turns the old Switch into something that's purely visual. And then it has like a hinge, so that way you can adjust it. You can close it, so that way you can play games like Phantom Hourglass to do that one puzzle. I legitimately think, I could see them stacking the 2 Switches together. Because, there's a good chance that anyone buying this new Switch probably has an old Switch. And doing something like that, allowing you to stack the 2 together to make a Nintendo DS. As well as, of course, just giving you the option to turn the new Switch onto its side. So that way, you can use it like horizontally, vertically, whatever the term is. I think that'd be really interesting, and that definitely is a weird Nintendo decision, right? So I think that would make a lot of sense. But yeah, no, I get why some people are underwhelmed. Personally, I mean, I'm kind of like... I want to see what this thing is actually gonna look like, right? I want to see this thing in action. I want to see the games. The fact that this is all just a leak kind of makes it a little underwhelming. We want more. We want to see new great things. And the fact that this got leaked early just kind of sucks. But, of course, there's still some talk up in the air about whether or not this thing is actually real. Who was it? It was Tom Warren over at, I want to say, The Verge, claims that these images are not real, right? That this is not what the final thing is actually going to look like. Right? Because all these images are based on someone who is a CAD enthusiast, saw the Switch 2, based on, what was going on in China. They saw what the system looked like, and then they just recreated it in CAD. So, that's why we're getting all these reports of, no, this is not what the final thing is going to look like, because of that. Now, the one other thing, though, so we got all these CAD renders, comparing it to the new Switch, We got the new Joy-Cons. Right, of which I think that I've heard some good things about the magnetic stuff. That like, because the rail system on the Switch is okay. Like, I've never had the Switch like completely give out on me, but it's got some problems. So supposedly this magnetic system is going to work really well. I don't know. It's just things I've been hearing. I like that they're keeping the giant stand from the OLED, because the little back thing on the Switch just was not good. It was not at a good angle. I wish they had given it, like, if they had given it like adjustable angles, that would have been so much better. And that's exactly what they did with this. This is a lot more adjustable. It's a lot more flexible. It works. Honestly, one of the best parts about getting an OLED is just being able to use the stand, right? Because it's so much better than the original if you want to play handheld. But so on top of all these images, we got these two images that show what looks to be, right, a deconstructed, right, it's some of the shell and a little bit of the motherboard. And you can see, right, you can see where the USB goes, or where the SD card goes in. You can see the charging ports. I want to say these are CPU or GPU, cartridge slot. This is the top, right, there's that top USB. Of course, the battery right here. I like that in theory, the lights that indicate what player number this is are now visible on the top instead of on the side. That's a good change as well, because that just makes it easier to see at a glance. Right, even if all these CAD images are fake, this looks convincingly real. Right, if we had just gotten the CAD images, I would have been like, okay, whatever. It's kind of like that PS5 rumor that we had a few weeks ago, where it was like, well, we can't actually show you what the PS5 looks like, but here's a render of what we think it'll look like, and yeah, that render turned out to be totally accurate. So this is what makes me think this is all real, right? The fact that we got all this is, yeah, and it lines up with every leak we've heard of, which I know for some people that'd mean like, oh no, that means it's not going to be real. But yeah, the fact that we got so much of this, right? The new bigger buttons. I think these are the magnets down here. Supposedly, right? This looks good. It's these two pictures that make me think this is real. Everything else in here could be fake. These two pictures are real. Probably. Like, I'm like 90% sure. Of course, we could be wrong. Maybe it is a dual screen thing, right? Maybe we're being japed. But probably not. So yeah, that's all the images. People complain the Switch 2 is not much different from the Switch. What were you guys expecting? They can't just change the entire design language of a handheld console every generation. Right. I've seen a lot of talks about what the name's going to be. Let's jump back into Splatoon. The most common name I see is just the Switch 2. There was that one leak that called it the Switch version 2, which I think is a pretty dumb name, but, you know, I could... Switch V2, just specifically shortening it to Switch V2, not a terrible name. I've seen some people be like, oh, well, you know, they're just walking into another Wii U situation, right? This is going to be too confusing for new consumers. No, it's not. People can understand the difference between PS4 and PS5, right? PlayStation has done this 4 times now, just adding another number. Nintendo doing that? No, this is... Honestly, adding a number is maybe the easiest way to avoid confusion, right? As long as they get their marketing right, I think this is the easiest way to avoid confusion. I've also seen some people say that it's going to be called the Switch Attach because of the whole magnetic Joy-Con thing. It's not, or just not the Switch Attach, the Nintendo Attach, because of the magnetic Joy-Cons. Yeah, you know, it's possible. Of course, there could also, right, I know I predicted last week that, hey, the Switch 2 might have, like, HD Rumble and it's probably going to have HD Rumble 2, HD Rumbler, but it might also have magnetic adaptive triggers is the word I was looking for. Because I do hope, even if you can't charge old Joy-Cons on the new Switch, which you're not going to be able to, I still hope Joy-Cons work, right? Old Joy-Cons, old Pro controllers. I hope those work on the new system. I really do. Because, you know, being able to move up your controllers from one system to another is, like, it's, again, like, PlayStation has never done that. Right? You've never been able to use a PS4 controller on a PS5, PS3 controller on a PS4. Right? That's never something PlayStation has done. But Nintendo has, specifically with the Wii. And specifically with the GameCube into the Wii into the Wii U, right? They've done it twice. But still, that's more than anybody else has, because Xbox hasn't done it either. I hope so, because that would say, especially when you're playing games like Smash Bros. That need 8 controllers, oh my gosh, that'd be so nice to just be able to use my Switch controllers and not have to buy things. But we'll see. But no, I think everything here looks fine. Right now, there's a rumor last week sometime, or okay, give me a minute. I just had to burp, and I'm not doing well. I'm barely holding it together, man. It's been a long day. Oh, I need a new. Oh. Come on, just get this match over with, please. Oh, we still got him. Alright, I think I'm done dying. Oh my god. Oh. Like, I didn't throw up, but god, I got close there. Ugh, I'm so out of it. I'm so glad I didn't grab a soda tonight. I thought about it, right? Because usually I grab a water and a soda. And I was like, oh, I'll just grab the soda, right? I'll grab a water. And I was like, I'll grab a soda. Nah, let's not. Oh god, because that would fuck up my stomach so bad right now. Instead, I took a shot of Pepto-Bismol, and let's hope everything works out. Oh my god. I don't even remember what the fuck we were talking about. The Switch 2... Yeah, you know what? I want Nintendo to reveal it. I think it looks fine. You know, it'll look... Once we actually see them playing the next 3D Mario and Mario Kart game, I feel like all these bitchy little nitpicks are just gonna go away. I feel like nobody's going... Once we see the next 3D Mario running on it, and everyone's really excited to see that 3D Mario, I feel like no one's gonna complain anymore. Because we want that 3D Mario. And getting these leaks were always going to be less impressive than the actual thing. I just hope we get it sooner rather than later. Because this is something I've been saying for months now. Is the worst part of the Switch 2 getting delayed until potentially April at the earliest. Is that it's just months of Switch 2 speculation. And I'm so sick and tired of it. Right? Like, oh yeah, this is fun. Hey, look, we get to see the actual thing revealed. But instead we could have had like an epic Nintendo reveal showing off the Switch 2, showing off Mario Kart. I don't know. I know people were gonna bitch either way. Because, I mean, there are PC gamers out there who fucking hate Nintendo because they never put their games on sale and will always pirate their games regardless. So, right, people are always just gonna be bitches. Not that there's anything wrong with pirating Nintendo games. I mean, it's morally okay, but, like, still. Right, bitch is gonna bitch. Yeah, do I have any... I don't know. We'll see how this thing actually turns out. Again, I still think... I would not be... I fully expect a weird Nintendo gimmick, and I could see that gimmick being VR. Even if it's not at launch, even if just in this reveals trailer, they show off a guy in a VR... Okay, remember how... Okay, do you remember how in the original Nintendo Switch trailer, they showed off the two people in the van playing Mario Kart together, right? And they had like this thing that hooked up to the back of a the back of a car seat. Yeah, let's go car seat. Right, that like held their Switch in place so that way they could play Mario Kart together. That was a product that never actually existed. That was something they did just for the trailers. So I could see Nintendo as part of their whole Switch 2 pitch showing off like, hey, look, it's the Switch 2 in a VR headset. And then there's a totally real possibility that they never actually make that VR headset. Probably not, but I could see them waiting like a full year to do it. But you know the second they show off, hey, it's the Mario equivalent of Astro Bot's Playroom, you know people are going to get super excited for that. Or Astro Bot's Rescue Mission, I mean. You know the second they show that off, people are going to lose their minds, because 3D Mario platformer in VR, like Astro's Playroom, sounds awesome. So yeah, I think that's all I've got for Switch 2. I don't know, I almost died there, but, you know, we're fine. We're fine. I'll be fine, hopefully. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. I hope you know, there's a lot of rumors that it's going to happen here in September, but then there were some people who were like, no, it's not actually going to happen, and said we're just going to get a new model of the like a new version of the OLED, or, you know, like a new bundle of the OLED. And guess what? We've gotten like 3 different OLED bundles this month, because, you know, Nintendo's trying to get rid of that old stock before the new thing. So I think that's very possible. We don't see it this month. I know there are some people, Arlo, who think that we're not going to get it until January. And I think, right, if you're announcing it in January and releasing in April, I don't think 4 months is enough time. I mean, it can be, but I don't think it is. I think getting October to April is a good time frame, because October to March was a good time frame. Of course, it could launch as late as June, in which case June to January is, you know, 6 months. So, I mean, I guess that's possible, but I want this thing. I already feel like it should be coming out this holiday season, based on, you know, what game. I know we're getting a new Zelda next week, but it really feels like we should be getting we should be getting a new Switch this week. And the fact that we're not is kind of surprising. Alright, yeah, this year. Whatever. So, our next story. So, when the game Palworld came out, back in like January or February, there was a lot of people saying that, hey, Nintendo, you should have a look at the models they're using in Palworld. Because, while Palworld probably didn't steal models from Nintendo, they basically did the 3D art equivalent of tracing. Like, there are some models in Palworld that are basically one-for-one Pokemon models. Yeah, they made a few small changes, like they changed the ears or whatever, but they're basically the same model. It's not plagiarism, it's tracing, which is still also technically plagiarism. But, you know, it's the difference between, stealing assets and doing what that one guy at Marvel Comics who likes to draw over porn does. Right? Like, there's very clearly a difference. Who the fuck is that? It's not Rob Liefeld. Is it Greg Land? I don't know. There's a comic artist at Marvel who, when drawing women, he traces over porn. I legitimately cannot remember his name off the top of my head. But I legitimately... it's basically the 3D art equivalent of that, but with Pokemon. So there was a lot of talk about, like, hey, Nintendo, you should do something about this. And nothing ever happened, right? Nothing came from Nintendo or the Pokemon Company. I think at one point the Pokemon Company did put out a statement basically saying that they're looking into it. But after that, nothing happened. And that was a long time ago. So, of course, there were a lot of people that just, like, assumed that, hey, nothing was going to happen. So this week, it kind of came out of nowhere when, basically, it was either the same day as the Switch 2 leaked. I think it was, like, later that night. Like, the Switch 2 leaked early in the morning, and then later that night, as, like, a distraction tactic from the Switch 2 leaks, Nintendo / the Pokemon Company / Creatures Inc., or whichever one of them, they filed a patent infringement lawsuit against Palworld developer Pocket Pair. Now, it's important to note right off the bat, this is not a copyright infringement, right? If they were suing Palworld over their creature designs, because, you know, they feel like they're 3D traced, that would be copyright infringement. This is patent infringement. Patents are specifically for, you know, technology and ideas, right? Patents are what screwed over Nikola Tesla, right? When Edison fucked over Tesla, right? It was because of patents. And certain things in the video game industry have been patented in the past. I know, right? The most famous one in recent years is Warner Brothers patenting the Nemesis system that's in Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, right? This really cool system that arranges enemies and, you know, makes nemesises. A really cool system that I would love to see games like God of War or Zelda use. Nope, it's patented by Warner Brothers only Warner Brothers can use that system. And it sucks. Can I be honest? I am completely against the patenting of game mechanics. And so, on that level, I'm actually very hesitant about what this Nintendo case is. Now, Nintendo did file some patents earlier in the year. Specifically around Tears of the Kingdom, right? Nintendo patented 31 things connected to Tears of the Kingdom to protect mechanics like Fuse and Ultra Hand. I'll be honest, I'm, right, like, I would love to see other, because on one hand, I get it, okay? Nintendo made this big revolutionary thing with Breath of the Wild, and now a bunch of other developers just stole it and basically did it, but worse, kind of. Sometimes it was as good, right, Elden Ring, but sometimes it was just worse, aka Immortals Phoenix Rising, aka Genshin Impact, aka a third example. But, like, right, Nintendo kind of revolutionized the open world game, so of course they did some patents on Tears of the Kingdom. But I really feel like patents like this shouldn't just... Patents limit creativity in the gaming space. And I feel like video game companies shouldn't be able to patent. Like, hardware, okay, right, you're making the hardware. But when it comes to actual, like, game design elements, you shouldn't be able to patent that. Right? Things like the Ultra Hand. Or, you know, being able to, like, the glider stuff in Breath of the Wild. Or the waypoint system in Breath of the Wild, where, right, you can zoom in on a scope, mark a waypoint, and it places it on your map. You shouldn't be able to patent that. The ping system from Fortnite. Or, it was originally Apex Legends, excuse me, and I know Apex Legends wanted to patent that, and then Fortnite went and stole it and put it in their game. Like, I get why you would want to patent that because of that, but I feel like that limits people. Yes, you will always have companies like Epic, like, God, whatever's going on with Ubisoft, that will just take mechanics from other games. Even though they also do have their own, you know, innovative mechanics. Far Cry had a lot of good stuff back in the day. But yeah, I feel like, you know, patenting mechanics in games limits things. And part of this lawsuit, a big facet of this lawsuit, is we don't know what patent that, right, Pocket Tech violated. Right? The lawsuit only says that they violated patents. We don't know what those patents are. We don't know what the details is. Like, this could be as egregious as Nintendo claiming they have exclusive rights to games where you capture monsters in little balls. Which, that would be awful. The idea that Nintendo's gonna go in and make sure that, right, legally make sure that no other developer can make a game where you can capture little monsters and balls is fucking abysmal. Especially because they're not the first game to do it. Games like Dragon Quest did it first. Right? I can't remember which Dragon Quest, but Dragon Quest literally did it before Pokemon did. They have no right to be able to copyright these ideas. Or to patent them, I mean. And especially this sets a terrible precedent because, right, there are games other than Power World, games like Temtem, or, which is not great, but there's also Cassette Beasts, which actually is pretty decent. Don't play the Switch version, though. Pick it up on PC or, I think it's on PlayStation as well. The Switch version is just really laggy, but Cassette Beast is actually pretty decent. Temtem, I did not care for Temtem. So the idea that Nintendo can patent these techniques, these ideas, and be like, we're the only developer that can make a creature-catching game, that would be awful. I hate that precedent, but that may not be what this is about either. Again, we have no idea what the actual patent violation is, and we're just kind of going to have to wait and see. Right? And hopefully it will eventually come out. I don't know, there is a decent chance that this gets settled outside of court, right? Like a lot of big cases, stuff like this gets settled out of court all the time. So this could totally be one of them that could result in Pal World completely shutting down. I just don't want this to set a bad precedent. Because I would love to see another developer come in, right? Again, our closest Pokemon games may not be great, right? They may have their fair share of flaws, but yet their competitors also don't have it together. Like the best Pokemon game that is not a Pokemon ROM hack is, right, like cassette beasts or something similar to that. Right? What does this mean for stuff like Digimon? Right? Because does Digimon technically predate Pokemon? They came out I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Hydrox Oreo thing where they came out around the same time. But in America, right, Pokemon came out first, and Pokemon did things differently enough that they were more popular. But, you know, Digimon still has its own cult following. I don't know. I was never a Digimon kid. The closest I got is, I think my cousin had a game on the GameCube that had Digimon in it. Oh, man, I was not a Digimon guy. What about that fucking Astro Robot game from right around the same time? I can't remember what it was called. It was like Cell Phone something or other, Cell Phone Monsters, that came out. Robopon? I think it was called Robopon. That came out around the same time as Pokemon did. What about that game? Right, because that's very similar. Oh god, that's a blast from the past. So yeah, we don't know. Right now, the big thing is just to wait. I will say, I've seen some people be like, oh, this is pretty convenient that the Nintendo Pokemon company is doing this now. I do want to remind people, lawsuits like this don't happen overnight. Right? People don't just decide, oh, I'm going to sue you for copyright infringement, and then file the lawsuit. Right? If filing lawsuits were that easy, Elon Musk would have 1 million lawsuits filed, both against him and by him. I mean, Cards Against Humanity announced they were suing Elon Musk today. Right? Lawsuits take time. And so the Pokemon Company has probably been working on this lawsuit since, you know, that Pal World came out. And I wouldn't be surprised if, right, they've just been taking their sweet-ass time getting this done because they know they have a winning case. Right? I think of all the stuff against Donald Trump. Right? Donald Trump has all these lawsuits against him. And I mean, the Stormy Daniels lawsuit, the one that he has 34 felonies against, technically that lawsuit starts in 2016. Right? That's when that lawsuit dates back to. And it took until like last year to get that thing filed. All the cases against him trying to, you know, overthrow the government, that's all from those cases only got filed like this year. But yet they date back to 2020. Because guess what? It takes a long time to file lawsuits, to collect evidence, and to make sure you're not just guaranteed to lose the case. There are always, of course, people who do just willy-nilly file lawsuits, but right, major corporations like this aren't just going to do it on a whim. Nintendo / the Pokemon Company is not just going to do this on a whim. They're clearly going to take their time and make sure they have a good case. Whether or not they actually do have a good case, we'll see, but right, this definitely isn't something going on a whim. That's for damn sure. But we're just going to have to wait until we find out more. I don't know when we're going to find out more, but it's just a matter of time. So that's all I got to say about that. So I guess let's get to WIBE. So the only thing I've played is Astro Bot. I did not watch the new Agatha show. I've heard decent things about it, but can I be honest? I just don't care. Right? Like, when Echo came out earlier in the year, I saw the potential there. I was like, you know what? This is an interesting idea for a character. I could see how you get a good show out of this. And yeah, the show was okay. Like, it wasn't anything amazing, but I saw the potential there. Whereas the Agatha thing, I just have no interest in this whatsoever. But supposedly it's decent. So I'll get around to it I get around to all Marvel things eventually. I'll get around to it eventually. Just not today. Same thing with the new Transformers movie came out. I still haven't gotten around to seeing Beetlejuice. I know. The big thing is I'm going to take my parents to go see it. And just getting everything to line up with them is... And, of course, getting everything to line up between us is just impossible. So that's literally the only reason I haven't seen it yet. But I will go see Transformers. I will go see Beetlejuice. I am interested in both. Alright, I've heard good things about both. We'll just have to wait and see. We both lost one member on our team. So yeah, I haven't seen no shows, no movies. I already told my Whataburger story, so I've got nothing there. I think there was no foodstuffs this week. Not that I can think of. Oh, God. Yeah, no, there was nothing this week. No Oreo flavored, Oreo flavor. What's a good, funny Oreo? Oreo flavored, Pepsi. I can't think of any. I know there is a new flavor of Mountain Dew, the spooky season Mountain Dew. For, I think it's the 5th or 6th year they're doing it. Right? They do like a mystery flavor every Halloween. I haven't even looked for it, if I'm being honest. So yeah, so the one game I have played is Astro Bot. So last time we talked about it, I think I was in the 4th world. I have now beaten the game. I went back, I collected every bot, so I got there's 300 bots in the game. I got all 300. I got every vending machine thing, every costume, every customizable ship thing. So spoiler alert for Astro Bot. Kind of like, you know how most 3D Mario games, when you beat them, at least the modern ones, like, you know, Galaxy 2's 3D World, 3D Land, they have that really hard level at the end of the game. And I mean, Mario Wonder does it as well. So Astro Bot does that, right? At the end of the game, they have this really hard level that you need to collect all 300 bots to unlock. And if I'm being honest, it wasn't actually that hard. I think I beat it in like 20 minutes, maybe 15 tries at most. I wasn't actually keeping track of it, but I beat it fairly easily. No real issues there. It was a fine level, right? It wasn't too hard. I honestly, like, I think on my first or second try, I got like halfway through. Like, I definitely, I think it was one of the, maybe it was one of the square levels. I struggled a lot more on. Maybe it was one of the right? I struggled, like, some of the earlier levels in the game, where you're, like, rolling the ball, or, right, messing around with time. I definitely struggled more on earlier levels in that game. And I think it's just, I think the thing is, the reason why I think I find this one easier is because this game is more Kirby influenced. Kirby isn't exactly known for having difficult platforming, because, you know, he can literally fly. While Astro cannot fly, he can hover in the air for extended periods of time, and that just makes platforming a lot easier. Being able to correct your jump in midair, that's why the best power-up in Mario Wonder is the twirl power, right, the whirlwind power-up, because it allows you to correct your jump in midair. So I think Astro Bot having a really hard level actually isn't that hard. Right, like the final level of Mario Wonder, I struggled way more on. The final level of Mario Wonder kicked my ass. Oh my gosh. When I say the final level, I mean the final level. I think it's the final level. I think there's 3 finals in it. That level kicked my ass. I hated it so much. The invisibility section. Oh my gosh. And then the final level in 3D World, I have never actually beaten. Not that I've ever really, like, I think I've only ever really tried to do it once when the game first came out. But yeah, no, I've never actually beaten the final level in 3D World. I think I beat the final level in Galaxy 2. I don't know, it's been a long time, so I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, no, I did not find this final level that hard. The final boss, I will say, is fantastic. Again, it reminds me of a Kirby game, but in reverse. So normally in Kirby games, you fight a final boss for the first phase, right? Traditional, like all the other bosses. But then for the second phase, it becomes something different, right? In Triple Deluxe, it's a suckathon. In Return to Dreamland, it's a giant sword fight. In Forgotten Lands, it's a truck fight, right? You're fighting them with a giant truck. With, you know, like an 18-wheeler. In this game, it does the reverse. It starts off with something different. It starts off with like a Star Fox-style shooter level. And then it becomes a traditional boss fight. And honestly, it works really well. Without getting in... again, I kind of already did just spoil something. But without getting into any more specifics than that, not only did I really enjoy it, but as like a send-up to PlayStation and just gaming in general, it does a fantastic job. It makes me feel nostalgic. It made me really happy. I might have shed a tear playing it. It's just, Astro Bot is Astro Bot my game of the year so far? Maybe. It's damn close if it's not. Right? Like, the only thing giving Astro Bot a run for its money is what? Balatro, Animal Well, I guess Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, even though I haven't played it. Right? There's not many things that give Astro Bot a run for their money this year. So, yeah, it is definitely one of my highest rated games of the year. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, I think the final boss was a nice bow to end off things. And I just had so much fun. I had a smile on my face. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a well-designed, really fun game. And honestly, that's all you can ask for. If the game's not fun, why play it? And Astro Bot is some of the most fun I've had with a video game. This year, potentially ever. Again, it ranks up there with Mario Galaxy for me. Of like, yeah, this is one of the greatest games of all time. Is this actually going to change anything? Like, in the grand scheme of gaming, are things actually going to, like, be revolutionized in the gaming space the same way Galaxy kind of did? I don't know, but it'd be cool if PlayStation keeps making more of these. If we get a new Astro Bot game every few years, I'll love it. Because there's a lot, you know, for every PlayStation reference that's in this game, there's one that's not in this game. Like, again, spoiler alert, there are no Final Fantasy characters in this game. I was really surprised that there's not a single Final Fantasy character. So that really surprises me. Twisted Metal is the other one. I was sure there was going to be the clown from Twisted Metal, whose name I cannot remember. I was convinced that at least his mask was going to be in the game. Nope. But hey, at least we got Gravity Rush. And we got a cost. Not only did we get Gravity Rush, we got a playable costume. Awesome. Love that game. Love to see it get represented here. There's a few other standouts where I'm surprised they're not here. But yeah, I think the developers did say they're going to be doing DLC, they're going to be doing time challenges and whatnot, so that's cool. The one thing I do want, though, again, this game reminds me a lot of a Kirby game, so they have that one, so traditionally Kirby doesn't have those really hard final levels. That's not a Kirby game thing. But instead, Kirby has an arena, and a true arena, where you go back and you fight all the bosses, including fighting harder versions of the bosses. I'm surprised this game doesn't have that. I mean, at one point in the game, you do refight one of the mini-bosses in a harder version, but outside of that, no, there are no harder there's no way to I mean, you can go refight boss fights. There are no harder versions, there's no boss rush. That's what I want. Because, okay, so another spoiler. So as you play through the game, you collect puzzle pieces. And the puzzle pieces unlock different things. They unlock they unlock the gacha machine. They unlock customizable characters, customizable ship parts, right? Stuff like that. It's a PlayStation controller. Right, they unlock customization. And then the final one unlocks the animal park. Which, honestly, I don't know why the animal park is there. I know it's to show off the animals in the game, to take photos, but it really doesn't do that much. Like, it's kind of weird. Instead, I would have expected the animal park to be the arena. Right, if this was a Kirby game, the animal park would have been the arena that allows you to fight the different bosses. And then, right, give us so that's what I want to see for DLC for Astro Bot. Give us an arena where, you know, the players have anywhere from 1 life up to like 5 to go through and beat all 5 of the major, or all 6 of the major bosses, I guess. That would be, having a boss rush would be very cool. And, you know, giving them EX forms that are even stronger, I would love to see that. I think that's what the DLC should be. Time trial challenges will be cool and everything, sure. A speedrunning mode would be neat. But I legitimately think a boss arena is what Astro Bot should have. That would be a lot of fun. And again, it would pay. The game feels a lot like a Kirby game, and Kirby games have Boss Arena, unless of course they're patented by Nintendo. Raggle fraggle. Ugh. So that's Astro Bot, and that's legitimately all I've played this week. I played a little Splatoon, won a few matches, I spent an entire, hour playing, and just got my ass handed to me over and over again. It was a miserable time. Oh my gosh. It sucked. It really did suck. But other than that, things are going okay. Hey, guess what? Oh, also, in the end of the Splatfest thing, I didn't mention this earlier. Let me pull up the exact tweet, because I know I bookmarked it somewheres. Right, Nintendo of America, this is Splatoon North America. After the 2 incredible years of Splatoon 3, regular updates will come to a close. Don't worry, Splatoween, Frosty Fest, Spring Fest, and Summer Nights will continue with some returning themes. Updates for weapons adjustments will be released as needed. Big Run, Extra Work, and monthly challenges will continue for the time being. So even though, Splatoon as, the big major events go, it's over. They're still going to be doing, big runs and whatnot. They can basically program that into the game, right? Just be like, hey, every year on this exact date, right, every year on the first Sunday of the month, do a big run. On the last Sunday of the month, do an extra work. Or, alternate them every other month. Do the Frosty Fests and whatnot. Right? I think that's fun. Go for it, Nintendo. Because they've never really, once it ended in the previous games, it just kind of ended. So actually getting some more support's really cool. The fact that we can use the amiibos to revisit the Grand Festival, that's very nice. So yeah, they are doing, they're doing some stuff. That's good. Where is my... There it is. Fairy bread. I like that. That's funny. Oh, didn't I also get... Speaking of splash tag stuff, I got... At some point, I can't remember if this happened on stream, I finally won 10x battles, so I was able to get all 3 of these ones finally. I at least did it before the final Splatfest, right? So that was nice. Before it all ended. Gold decorations. Oh, that's just... I'm surprised the bronze one isn't bronze, because, that's bronze. I never got above 50% in extra work. Wow. That actually kind of surprises me. Because we only got that at the very end as well. Oh, I did go in and change my locker. Did I show this off? It's not a big change, but... I think I added in the white squid. I think that's brand new. No. I think maybe the white squid is new. I kind of can't remember. But I added the golden bear that we won in the final big run to the yellow part. And then I replaced... I think there was a light blue right there in the middle that I replaced with purple and added the GameCube. So yeah, I did change up the locker a little bit. I think I did that right before the Final Fest. But yeah, I think that's all we got to talk about tonight. I guess that takes us to the outro. Yeah, it was... Oh, God, it was a night. I'm so ready to go to bed. I'm ready to lay down, go to bed, and, God, get up and work tomorrow morning. Fuck, man. It's such a busy week. Oh, my God. And it's gonna get worse before it gets better, sadly. I think that's the worst part. It gets worse before it gets better. I wonder if we're gonna break 1 million. I mean, we're making money at a good rate here. I think we might be able to break 1 million. I don't know, slow and steady. I don't know, I can't remember. I know I was gonna upgrade another piece of gear. Maybe it was this one we were gonna work on next. Because I did finally get the crown. I got the World Tour crown. And I got the jacket. Oh, I was gonna work on the jacket next. That's it. I want this jacket. I love this jacket design so much. I know it's clipping right there, but I think it's a cool design. So I think I'm gonna work on this jacket next. I don't remember what I'm going to do to it, but I'll figure that out. obviously. I kind of wish the hockey jersey was a little oversized. Right, like, you know how I can turn this one oversized? And when I adjust... Yeah, you're right, you know how I can adjust gear to make that one oversized? I kind of wish I could make that oversized as well. Yeah, I was gonna work on this. And then, of course, there's also this. I don't really care for the boots. The boots aren't anything special. Oh, it's these boots. These are the ones. Quick super jump's okay, but I think I already have quick super jump on a boot somewheres. Maybe I don't. Yeah, I have stealth jump there. Maybe I don't have quick super jump on a boot. Ooh, maybe I should work on those. Yeah, I just have 3 subs. Yeah, look at that. I love that puffy jacket, man. That's such a good jacket design. Yeah, I think that's where we're going to end off for tonight. We'll be back next week. Maybe we'll actually do Fall Guys next week. Again, I know I had planned on doing Astro Bot. I might just save it for the end of the year. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll figure it out. But that's where we're going to end off for tonight. So I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time. Peace.